pertaining to Chris Matthews' show coming up on the 16th there. I thought that everybody should use this as an opportunity, okay, to make lemonade out of lemons. So if Chris Matthews is going to be handing out lemons for the Tea Party and specifically to Alex Jones, I really think that we ought to have a viewing party across the United States of all the Tea Partiers and so on and so forth to go ahead and have a good laugh. Because, we know that these guys are trying to expose people that are exposing them to what's really going on. So, I thought that would be another great thing to probably do.
Yeah, it's a good idea. I mean, the thing about Chris Matthews and this, rise of the right is basically going to be a smear attack on Alex Jones and everybody who is trying to expose this globalist takeover, and it's coming up, I believe, in the next few days or early next week. I mean, Chris Matthews says that his hero is Saul Alinsky, the big commie. The rise of the right. I mean, if your hero is Saul Alinsky, then everybody on the political spectrum is going to be to the right of you. It's ridiculous. Alex Jones spent 8 years bashing Bush, and he's this right-wing extremist. I mean, they're hoping that people have quite short memories there. And, of course, it's trying to portray us as radicals. It ties in with the Mayak report, trying to smear us all as domestic terrorists when we've been nothing but peaceful. They did the same thing with the 9/11 Truth movement, trying to say they were dangerous. Completely failed again. So it's going to be interesting what kind of tactic what kind of angle they approach this at, but it's probably going to be the same tired old cliches about how we're this frontier of dangerous extremism when all we're doing is telling the truth and trying to wake up people to what's happening. Thank you for your call. And now we're going to go to Henry in Michigan. Henry, you are on the air.
Hey, Watson, how you doing?
All right, Henry, what's on your mind?
Well, hey, I'll tell you, I don't know if anybody else has seen this, or on the 21st, the day after this explosion, they had a survivalist that said that prior to the explosion, the BP project manager, I'm assuming, had a big meeting with all the BP higher echelons of the contractor that built the rig, and they knew perfectly well beforehand that the check valve deal down below was faulty and the seals were broken and everything else. And this kid came out on TV and spilled the beans. Well, since then, I haven't heard one thing about. Never have seen this guy again on TV, the survivalist, but he spilled his guts out saying that BP was perfectly aware of the whole situation. And something else.
Go ahead.
And something else that really puzzles me about this whole situation is, I've been a pipe fitter, an industrial pipe fitter for 42 years. And I'm watching these stupid clowns, trying to cut this pipe down there. Granted, it is quite a depth down. But to cap that well would be a simple thing. I mean, you stick in a blow-up plug, you shoot it full of gas, and you fill it full of hydronic cement, and it's capped. And I feel that the reason that BP is negligent in capping this thing is that once it's capped, the well is dead. And it all boils down to the greed and money thing, and plus they're trying to, for some reason, it seems to me they're trying to kill the Gulf, and to raise the gas prices, to bring in their new world order regime, and just make hell on earth here for us.
Yeah, well, I mean, the point you raised that BP is probably trying to not stop the leak because it would shut down the well entirely. That's a charge that's come up quite often, that their agenda is to restart the well. So if they did shut it down entirely, I mean, there's been talk of nuking it. That would obviously terminate it entirely. Then they would lose a lot of money. But I mean, as you also talked about earlier, the actual device, the hydraulic control system that's supposed to prevent this kind of disaster from happening, in BP's own investigative report, and I suggest you read it, we link to it in the article that we've posted on Prison Planet, very interesting, on page 37, it says that they, quote, identified undocumented modifications to the hydraulic control system. The extent of these modifications is unknown at this time. So they knew that something had been tampered with before it happened, and then you have the foreknowledge of the top BP executives selling all the stocks and shares. So very suspicious, and indicates that a lot more is going on than what we're being told, and there's definitely a cover-up. But we're going to go to the next caller. Thanks for your call, Henry. We're going to Stuart in Massachusetts. Stuart, you are on the air.
Hey, cheers, Watson.
Hi, Stuart.
Huh?
What's on your mind today, Stuart?
Okay, this is what I want to bring up, and I'm not an expert on this, but me and my friends were talking, and my friend Henry, who's pretty smart, brought this up. What's going to happen now when there's a hurricane down there, because there is pretty much every year? And on top of that, what are the odds of lightning igniting and ended up with some real biblical type weather, like fire raining from the sky? You know what I'm saying? Like, what happens if you get the perfect storm down there? I mean, I know a hurricane's probably going to disperse it all over the South. I mean, it's probably going to get everywhere. But what happens, is it possible for lightning to ignite that while it's in the atmosphere and ending up with just some real horrific, you know, like basically, like I said, fire raining down from the sky? I don't know if you know much about that either, but I want to put that out there because, you know, he raised that point, and I was like, whoa, you know what I mean? So if somebody who does know about that kind of stuff could look into it, or call up, or if someone could look into it, would be great, because I think people should know if that's a possibility. And that's all I want to say. Thanks.
All right, thanks. Yeah, I don't know much about it personally, but certainly on the issue of the hurricanes, I mean, we saw with Katrina, they used that as an excuse to get the troops in and conduct the disarmament procedure. And now troops, according to reports, are going to be heading there, you know, to deal with the crisis of the oil spill. So we're going to have to watch that very carefully. Thanks for the call, Stuart. And now we're going to go to John in North Carolina. John, you are on the air.
Hey, Paul. Thanks for taking my call. About the oil situation, I know there's a large variety of points people have made, and it's tough to say, really. That's my perspective right now, what the nature of it is. I think what we know is that the response was very lackluster, very slow, and is still very slow and lackluster. And it certainly seems like they're trying to let the fire keep burning and not try to put it out. I think we could make that determination, don't you think?
Yeah, and what's amazing to me is, you know, this oil spill camera that we're constantly seeing. I mean, you can barely open up a news website without seeing it now. Turn on Fox News or CNN, and this oil spill camera shows you second by second progress of how much is spilling out, and that was set up by BP. So you'd think that, you know, if they're buying Google searches, which they are, then why have they set up this oil spill camera that constantly reminds people of how bad this disaster is second by second? So that's also something that baffled me. It does seem there's an attempt to hype this, and I mean, obviously it's a devastating crisis, but at some level BP seem to be involved in hyping the crisis, which is very odd. Unless you consider the fact that they might be trying to hype it to the extent where massive, quote, solutions need to be called for, which obviously lead to nationalization and measures like that we discussed earlier in the show. But thanks for your call. And we've got a lot of callers coming in. We're going to move to Joe in Chicago. Joe, what's on your mind?
Yes, MI6 KEYMOISE.
Okay. Thanks for the call. Mike in Wyoming, you are on the air. Welcome.
Yes, thanks, Paul. The other day I saw an article of yours that suggested that treaties overriding even the Constitution itself were problematic, or were a matter of debate. And I just wanted to lay that one to rest. Treaties necessarily fall underneath the Constitution and over statute law. Otherwise, you could use treaties to simply unravel the Constitution itself. And the founders weighed in on that. They were very explicit that treaties did not sit at the same level in terms of their legal status as the Constitution.